The unspoken truth. A grandmother's plea. Do you remember when they used to tell us family was the safest place in the world? A warm embrace, a shield against all harm? I remember those words. I remember believing them with all my innocent heart. But it was a lie, the biggest, most soul-crushing lie I have ever known. Because in my own home, in my childhood bedroom, where my dolls sat neatly on the shelf and crayon drawings adorned the walls, my own brother did something to me, something so unspeakable, so vile, that even the darkest corners of my imagination, even the most twisted villains in fairy tales, could not conceive it. It was a violation that stole my childhood, my innocence, and a piece of my soul. And my father, oh, my father, he always believed that the sun rose and set on his son. My brother was his golden boy, his pride and joy. Even now, at 73 years old, I can still hear that rough, dismissive voice saying, making up stories again. Girl, he'd say it with a wave of his hand, a look of exasperation, as if the growing belly I carried at 14 years old was something I had simply imagined into existence, as if the terror in my eyes, the silent pleas, were just childish theatrics. My name is Jessica Rundall, or at least, it was. I was born in 1951, in a small, quiet town called Oak Ridge, Tennessee, a time when children had no voice, especially girls. Girls were supposed to be seen and not heard. Quiet, obedient, grateful. These were the lessons drilled into us. Today, as I sit on the porch of my humble, honest little home on a sweltering July afternoon, I have decided to speak. I've carried this story, this heavy burden, for almost 6 decades. It's not a beautiful story, I warn you. It's the kind of story that makes your stomach churn, that makes you want to cover your ears and retreat. But it is a story that must be told, because I know there are countless girls out there, women even, who are living through the very same hell I endured. They think they are utterly alone in this vast, indifferent world. If you are listening to me right now, wherever you are, please know this: you are not alone, and your voice, your truth, matters. I was 14 years old when I became pregnant. A child. Carrying a child, the shame, the terror, the confusion was a suffocating blanket that wrapped around me. My father's disbelief had left me utterly isolated. But then, a miracle. My mother, oh, my strong, unwavering mother. She saw me, she believed me, and in a world that sought to condemn me, she chose to protect me. She took me away from Oak. We left everything behind. The familiar streets, the whispers, the judgment. She was a woman of incredible courage and ingenuity. She forged my baby's birth certificate, claiming him as her own. To the outside world, my son became my brother. It was a desperate act, a profound lie, but it was born of the deepest love. It was her final act of love, carrying that secret to her grave, letting him continue to believe in the beautiful lie she had crafted. She protected him from the stain of my past, from the cruel truths that could have broken him, and she protected me. My father, the engineer, died years later in an accident. My mother, my young mother, continued to protect us, forging a new life for us in a new town, under new names. And today, I am even grateful for his green eyes. My brother's eyes. They taught me a profound lesson, that appearance does not define character, that evil is not inherited, it is learned, and that a mother's love, truly, can transform a cursed legacy into a profound blessing. I chose to live a lie. I chose to protect. I chose silence for many years. I chose to rebuild, not to destroy. And if I had to choose again, knowing everything I know now, I would do it all exactly the same way. Until never again, Oak Ridge. Until forever, this new life. That is my story. It is our story. A story of miracles, yes, but miracles we created ourselves. It was a strange feeling, being a mother at such a young age, but it was also a profound awakening. My son, my beautiful boy, was my anchor, my reason to fight, my beacon of hope. I looked at his innocent face, and I knew I had to be strong, not just for me, but for him. He deserved a life free from the shadows of my past, a childhood filled with joy and security. And so, with my mother's unwavering support, I buried the trauma deep within me. I built walls around it, brick by painful brick. I focused on the future, on creating a life that was stable, loving, and entirely my own. I changed my name. Jessica Randall became Jessica Smith. It felt like shedding an old skin, leaving behind the girl who had been broken and stepping into the woman I needed to become. I built a new family. I met a wonderful man, a kind and gentle soul who loved me without question. We had more children, Charles and Mary Sela, and then came the grandchildren, John Robert, and my sweet great-granddaughter, Alice. My life became a tapestry woven with love, laughter, and the simple joys of everyday living. But even as I built this beautiful new existence, the memories of Oak Ridge, of that room, of that man, would sometimes creep into the quiet corners of my mind. They were like ghosts, whispering reminders of a past I desperately wanted to forget. Yet, I never spoke of it. Not to my husband, not to my children, not to my closest friends. The lie, born of love and protection, became a part of who I was. It was a heavy secret, but it was also my shield. I believed that by keeping silent, I was protecting my loved ones from the darkness that had once threatened to consume me. I didn't want to burden them with my pain, to cast a shadow over their innocent lives. I wanted them to know only light, only love, only the warmth of a family built on trust and happiness. It wasn't easy. There were nights when the nightmares would come, vivid and terrifying. There were moments when a seemingly innocent word or gesture would trigger a wave of fear and despair. But I learned to cope. I learned to breathe through the panic, to remind myself that I was safe, that I was loved, that I had survived. I found strength in my children's laughter, in my husband's embrace, in the simple act of watching the sun rise over my little house each morning. As I grew older, and as the world around me slowly began to change, a new thought began to take root in my mind. The world was finally starting to talk about things that were once hidden in the shadows. Survivors were finding their voices, sharing their stories, and demanding justice. I saw their courage, and a part of me, the part that had been silent for so long, began to stir. I realized that my story, however painful, held a power beyond my own personal healing. It held the power to connect, to validate, to offer hope to others who had walked a similar path. I wasn't just a survivor. I was a witness, and my testimony, my truth, could be a beacon in the darkness for someone else. So, here I am, sharing the most vulnerable parts of myself with you. It's terrifying, but it's also liberating. It's my way of saying, to every single person who has ever felt unseen, unheard, or alone in their suffering, you are seen, you are heard, and you are not alone. The world might try to silence you, to make you believe that your pain is your burden alone to carry. But that is another lie. Your strength is not in muscles or money. It is in surviving, in protecting, and in transforming. It is in choosing life over death, love over hate. It is in finding your voice, even when it trembles, and speaking your truth. My journey has been long and arduous, filled with moments of profound despair and incredible resilience. But through it all, I have learned that even in the face of unimaginable darkness, hope persists, love endures, and the human spirit, especially the spirit of a woman, possesses an extraordinary capacity to heal, to rebuild, and to create something beautiful from the ashes of pain. If you have listened to my story this far, I thank you. Truly, I know it wasn't an easy listen, but I hope it touched something within you. My goal in sharing this is not pity, but understanding and connection. If you are struggling, please know there are resources and people who care. You don't have to carry your burdens alone. And if my story resonated with you, if it made you feel a little less alone, then I ask you to consider something. My truth, my pain, my survival, it's all part of a larger tapestry of human experience. We can learn from each other, support each other, and grow stronger together. So, tell me in the comments below, where are you listening from? I'm eager to know if this story is reaching women across the country, across the world. Let's start a conversation. Let's share our journeys, our struggles, and our triumphs. And if you believe in the power of these stories, if you want to hear more voices like mine, please consider subscribing to Grandparents' Stories. By doing so, you help this grandmother and countless others ensure that our stories are not told in vain. Your support helps us to keep these conversations going, to build a community where every story is valued and every voice is heard.